Yo.
Episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2, and we are audio and visual. So now we can be in your ears and your eyes. So it took a while to set up, but we'll see how it goes. We got 3 different cameras set up. So hopefully it works out. Hopefully the quality's all right.
I'm already a wine date because you took so long.
Yeah. Well, here we go. So I'm just trying out this Yuzo Soju Bombay. I don't really know what this is. It's any good?
Cheers. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Alrighty, so episode 2. So episode 1 was a bit of a hit. We just kind of just went for it. I did absolutely no editing in the slightest. I just kind of did the Hail Mary. Let's just put it out there, see what happens.
People like that.
People liked it, yeah. We had some really good feedback. We surprisingly had a lot of people listen, and really surprisingly, all around the world. I don't know how, but people in
Dublin.
Yeah, people in Dublin. We had Brazilians, the UK, South Africa, everywhere. It was impressive. So anyway,
hello from everywhere.
Yeah, it's all around the world. So that was awesome. It's funny, right? Because you asked me to come pick you up a few hours ago, which I was a little bit salty about because you were supposed to be here already. And we're sitting there on the scooter, right? Because obviously we drive around the scooters here. But we already started to leak out all our chats, essentially. So we had to put a pin in it because there was a lot of really valuable stuff that we thought was pretty cool and pretty interesting that we were just sharing on the back of a scooter, which was getting wasted. So
which we couldn't really hear each other, and we get mad at each other because I'm like, what? And you're just having this conversation facing forward, but I've got a helmet on, there's scooters beeping everywhere, it's really not a good place to have deep conversations.
Yeah, but when they arise, you just can't help yourself, right? But that's an interesting one, having to put a pin in a conversation that you're really engaged in, really in depth.
Yeah.
But what's funny is now I'm trying to remember what we were talking about.
I know.
You do? Okay, cool.
Well, do you want to tell everyone listening where you picked me up from as well? Because I think this is all part of learning how to become a remote closer, and I guess some of the perks of the job as well.
Yeah, so I picked you up from our, what was our gym? It's now your gym. I've moved to another one. But yeah, you were working from, the gym cafe section. Beautiful gym. When I say a gym, it's not like a gym. It's not like you would go to Jets or Anytime Fitness.
Yeah, I'm not working from a freaking
no
lat pull down machine.
This is so gyms here is it's essentially just a beach club.
A retreat. Well, it's a retreat. It's a wellness retreat.
It's like a wellness retreat. They have a cafe. They have a restaurant. They have a beach club.
We're getting sidetracked. It doesn't matter what it has. Why I asked him to say that is because on Fridays I like a change of scenery. And so I go to the gym early in the morning and I set myself up there for the day, and I do all my meetings and coaching sessions and sales calls from there.
Yeah.
So, when we say location freedom, I had my laptop, my phone, a Wi-Fi, and my charger. That was literally it.
Very good.
Yeah.
You're really living up to it. Okay, cool. So did you want to, we'll do a bit of an intro, right? Because we're assuming that, everyone's listened to this. This is the second podcast. Everyone's listened to the first. Maybe they haven't. So once again, this podcast is to just help, just chat about everything kind of sales, remote closing, what it is, what it's like, a day in the life, raise some awareness, help people understand it more. Who is Brooke and why should we listen to you?
You want to do this again?
Just a quick one. I think we'll add it as the intro.
I'm the same as last week.
Nothing's changed?
No.
No more starts, nothing?
I did take on a new coaching client.
Hey, there we go.
But listen to last episode.
Yeah. Okay. So we just redirect them to number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to waste time talking about who we are again.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it then. So let's pick up the conversation that we were having on the scooter.
Yeah. Well, let's do a bit of a recap on our weeks.
Okay.
You can talk about your leads, your calendar, and I can talk about mine, and just a general overview of how our week's gone.
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, I'm on a US account, right? So majority of my kind of hours are, I work pretty early, so I kind of start 5, first calls at 6, because I like to have a bit of an hour, get ready. So 6 to 11 I work. So I have 5 slots, hour-long calls. Calendar's always full. Obviously work for a very good company that keep that kind of going. In terms of the week, I had a really good week. think I've managed to have pretty consistently like anywhere from 1 to 2 sales per day, which has been great. But yeah, in the afternoons and the days, been trying to fill up, trying to figure this podcast thing out, which surprisingly is quite easy from what I thought it was going to be, which was a massive relief. What about you?
Well, my week's actually been a bit of a na week in
Hmm.
terms of sales. I've made one sale this week, and the lady, bless, it was a beautiful conversation, but she was denied finance.
Mm,
So we had to reduce her program, put her on an internal payment plan. But I made a whopping $57 from that sale.
nice.
Mm-hmm. From 600 down to 57, which is always a bit of a pain. But at the end of the day, I still got to help her
Yeah.
change your life. So that was really, I'm really, really pleased with that conversation. But aside from that, I've had about 10 no-shows this week.
Massive. That's rare for you
Mm,
guys as well, right?
extremely rare. So
Surprised you even know what that means.
you know what though, like in full transparency, because I've had such a stacked calendar this week, I'm going into my sales calls being like, please no show, please no show, please no show.
Yeah.
Which like is not ideal. And I
Yeah.
know that, but it's
Yeah.
just because, you know, wearing different hats, I'm finding really challenging. You know, I'm coaching salespeople and then I'm managing sales teams. And then
Yeah.
I've got sales calls sprinkled in through the day. And it's just really hard. Well, I'm finding it really challenging to swap those hats.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't recommend having that mindset, but it's just where I'm at the moment. So I've
Okay.
acknowledged that.
How do you find that challenging? Like, what is the biggest hurdle there? Like, from going from a coaching to like a sales call? Because the reason why I'm asking, right, is because like some people, especially in fitness, they would be like, well, you know, like you're kind of coaching them on the
It's
sales call
congruent.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what do you find is the biggest? I guess,
It's an
challenge
energy
there?
thing for me.
Yeah.
You know, like when you are at a coaching session, if you're coaching a particular person who's had a really crappy week or maybe have a really crappy month, they're super down. So I find that I have to really lift them. And I do that through, you know, bringing the energy and empowering them and like, you know, working through some things and mindset or
Yeah.
whatever's going to move the needle for them. So when I have to show up for a sales conversation,
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm lacking in energy. And that's coming across. Like I actually found myself getting triggered today in a sales call, which hasn't happened to me in a very long time. I had this lady crying. It was for her. She literally was like, my life would be worth living again in the consequence question.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she was like, yeah, I'm just going to have to go away and think about this. And I just could feel myself getting triggered. And we started getting
ones.
Well, I mean, yeah. Definitely blindsided.
Yeah.
And I probably I just didn't have it in me to like go sit in the saddle and actually work through that with her. So I let her down. Absolutely, it was my fault. But it definitely got a bit condescending in the end where she was kind of could pick up that my tone had changed and it had. And I could then, she called me Bronwyn instead of Brooke. And so, of course, I corrected her. Oh, my name's Brooke. And then that just
That was
like,
it.
it just fell from there. But I think that was intentional.
Yeah, well, there you go, right? If anyone really wants to trigger you, then they just
Call me
have to
Bronwyn.
call you slightly different, or spell your name without an E. That's a massive.
Yeah,
one.
luckily for them, that's not something that I can see. But
Yeah.
to go through a beautiful conversation with someone like that, and then for her just to like call me Bronwyn, I just was very.
Yeah, I think those are the worst ones, right? Is like when you're like having a really like good conversation, you're kind of like you're really connecting, you're hitting everything that you kind of know that you need. Because we're so process driven, right? That's what we kind of coach and it's how we train and it's what we do as well. So like you're kind of getting everything you need and then you'll get kind of like almost blindsided by something like that, which is so like out of character. Like obviously you've got to expect it because, you know, sometimes the best thing to do is to expect the worst because then you can't get triggered.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
But like sometimes you fall into that trap where you're like, oh, like this makes complete sense. And they hit you with that. It's like if you're not in the right like mode, you can very easily get triggered.
Totally. And I also think, you know, you get into a rhythm when you're doing back-to-back sales calls, you get into flow. And so when you have a lot of gaps in your day or a lot of breaks, or, you know, this was one of the first sales calls I've had all week. Yeah. I kind of just felt a bit rusty.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, I mean, the conversation was still fantastic. I actually was going to send it to my girls, but as a bad example, because I wanted them to hear that I actually did get triggered in the end. But yeah, just a bit of a nana week for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had like, obviously I've had like a bit more of a, I guess, successful week, but yeah, I've definitely had a couple of like conversations where like, they just logistically cannot move forward. You know what I mean? Like funding is denied. Like they're literally like pulling up their like bank accounts, being like, man, like this is what I have available. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things, right? Like, you know, it's all like you always hear the good and everything, and there is a lot of good, but then there is a lot of not really bads, but it's just a lot of things that are completely out of your control, right? You can't really help it. Like, I think that's one of the best things though, is to like know so deeply that like what you're doing and following your process so well that like regardless of whether you get smacked with one of these think about it or they get denied or suddenly they like have no money, like it's, you know what I mean, you've kind of done everything that you can, which takes that like takes the hurt out a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that you've spoken to me about before is every no is a step closer towards the next yes.
Yeah.
But when you have scattered sales calls like I've had this week, it's just
Yeah.
seemed like no after no after no after no after no, or no show after no show after no show. So
Yeah.
I haven't had the ability to get into flow and even experience that. It's just kind of been like one no has been my whole day.
Yeah, I get you.
So
the percentage is higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So we so with kind of like the company that I'm with, we've got a mindset coach coming in now to obviously try and like, you know, working with high performance, like high level kind of like mindset coaching, works with a lot of athletes and stuff like that. But like the biggest thing was like you just focus on the process, you focus on your structure, you take the result out of it. You know what I mean? So like when you can do that so deeply, once again, like it does take the hurt out, but also because I know I've been having a lot of people kind of, especially with like some of the coaching that I've been doing, is people like really struggling with like, I guess like their mode, like their mindset and things like that. But it's just like, just take the result out of it. Like take the money out of it. I know it's really hard because you earn that. Like that's how you make a living. But like if you focus on what you're doing in the moment so deeply, then you can always succeed, right? So if you do have like, so what I kind of shifted my metric from, right, was like, you know, did I make the sale? To like, did I have a great conversation with someone? Like, did I change someone? The result just is the result, right? Sometimes, yes, I may have got the sale or, you know, funding got denied, whatever it is, but that's still another deep conversation that I had with a human that, you know, in 2 weeks time, 2 months time, they're going to come back, they're going to know the conversation, and then, you know, we can help them then.
Yeah. And I totally get that. I feel like that's easier said than done. And I also feel like focusing on process and stats and data is actually quite masculine. And women, we're just more emotional.
Yeah.
We just are. So I really want this podcast to be truth, like only truth, right? Because that's easy to say, but
Very
it's really
easy to
hard
say.
to do.
Very.
And the life of a remote closer, particularly for a woman, is a roller coaster. Like, how many times have I come into you and I'm crying? And you're like, and you're literally like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I've had like 5 no sales, or like, I've had 2 cancellations today. And like, you're literally like, Brooke, who cares? And you always remind me to take a look at the bigger picture. And I'm always calmed. You always calm me down and you remind me that, and I go away and I, think I feel so silly for, but in that moment, because I put so much into these conversations and so much into these women, I genuinely feel like I let them down in a way. So that's great advice. But I just feel like when you're in it, it's actually really hard to be like, oh, okay, focus on my process, and not let yourself get caught up in that emotion.
100%. No, I get exactly what you're saying. And you're right. Like that definitely is like, I guess that's probably one of the things that I like, that maybe is a strong point for me as well, is because like I can, like that's just me in general though, right? Like I can have like something really shit happen and like be really like emotional for like 5 seconds and then like I'm out. You know what I mean? Like I'm just back to baseline.
Well, what we figured that out is your emotional home is anger. So you have like outbursts of just like, and then you're good. Whereas like I'm more, I dwell on things. Like my emotional home's fear. So I guess like, the unworthiness and stuff. But
100%. No, it's very interesting, like getting those different perspectives, right? Like male and female, because there definitely is differences in that. Even like, you know, my cousin, right? Like that, you know, you're coaching her, but we switched it up for a section, right? just to get like a bit of a different perspective, because like she's very skillful. Like you've trained her very well to be very
Thank you.
skillful.
Yes.
Like, oh, 100%. Like I hear her role playing, hear her calls. Like it's good. It's like high level. It's a lot of like minutia there that will make a lot of changes. But when I kind of like when we had our session together, I was like, look, like we can go through skill work, like that's not an issue. But like what I always like to do first, and this is a masculine side of things as well, right? Is like let's just look at the hard data and see what like the lowest hanging fruit is. Because like if we go into like real like in-depth like identity frames or like objection handling on a specific thing, like I don't know the return that that's going to give you. And what we did was we kind of went through like her numbers, we went through her opportunity that was in front of her, and it was giving her such a small percentage of like return. So even if she was closing like 100% of people, she would still only be able to like double what she was making, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like what we focused on instead was just putting as much opportunity in front of her, so it was more like activity based as opposed to skill set.
And that's not sexy.
It's not sexy, right? Like, and I could tell she was a little bit kind of disappointed.
Definitely.
That's the way the conversation was going.
I feel like I felt that too a bit. She was kind of like, but it was a necessary conversation.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Like as coaches, we do tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
The kind, nice, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind, not nice. So like, because I've definitely had those situations from like my coaches and from my mentors where they've kind of like pulled me in line. It's like, hey, like let's look at the reality of things.
Even for me, like, remember when I walked into your room the other day and you were playing a game and I was like, Scott, what are you doing? And in the moment you were kind of like, go away, like I'm just.
Yeah.
But when you reflected, you were kind of like, yeah, I wasn't doing anything to put myself and to put our family forward.
Yeah.
You can fall into those traps.
A perspective shift.
Well, you get a no-show or you get a cancellation and you're kind of like, yeah, like I've got half an hour free time.
Yeah.
And if you allow yourself to fall into that trap, it can be really dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. Because then you start to like look. You start to look for those.
And
like
want
manifestation. I don't care what people's.
Oh God,
on it,
yeah,
it's fucking real, right?
Yeah, literally,
almost to a fault. Like I can manifest the amount of like, showed like calls to sales to like conversions to everything in my data. I'll like literally manifest it, and it will be like weirdly like to the exact 0.%.
Well, that's what I was saying to you. This whole week, I've been like, no show, and I've had all no shows.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because you felt like you needed like a
break.
So
exactly.
Literally manifest, and which is like for people listening, like your account for no shows is like it's freakishly weird. You guys do not get no shows.
Very rarely.
From what I've seen.
Yeah, very rarely.
That's just my view. But it always seems like every single person is showing up for you guys. So yeah, that it's real. Yeah. What were we talking about in Scooter? Because that definitely wasn't it.
No. Okay, so we have some questions, and this will tie into that. So
perfect.
I actually asked you. So one of the best salespeople in the world, like I think we can just say his name, Jeremy Miner.
Yep.
He often talks about the fact that you're not born with advanced communication strategies, and obviously you're not. But I said to you, do you find like I've got 65 women in my She Sells container, which is amazing, and I'm really, really proud of the women who are willing to take that step and actually, take charge of their life and want better for themselves.
Yeah.
But I was on a role play today, and it was with one of the women from the community, and she just had it. She just got it.
Yeah.
And it just made me ask the question, do you feel like some people just have it and other people have to work harder for it?
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was have you kind of answered that for her yet or not?
Well, no, because then I asked you that. And then I said, as an example, like one of my other girls, like she puts in the work. Like she shows up. She's doing all of the right things to improve. And she still just hasn't quite got it.
Okay. So there's a positive and then a negative to the answer of this, right? The positive is that, yes, like I 100% believe that everyone can become good at sales.
Definitely.
Now, what does good at sales look like? Like you can be good at sales and be making like 10K plus a month. Like you really can be, right? Especially if because there's skill and there's activity. You can just be the hardest worker in the room and make great money, right? Like we have a new guy who just kind of started up in our company. I think it's his second month. Like he's got a very good mix of both.
I know who you're talking about. I think.
But he just gets after it. You know what I mean? He came in his second month, he made like 39K or something, 36K or something USD. He just got
Wow.
after it. Like,
Yeah.
great skill set, like, yes, but like it's just a prime example. If you just get after it, if you just hustle, like you will do well. So
Mm.
that's not like, it's not like ruled out if you don't have it. The second thing is, I definitely believe, and I think this probably is common sense, is that people start with a natural like start point. Okay. And I can definitely speak on this because we are prime examples of this,
Mm.
right? Like, you have a very natural like acuity to like just
Communication.
communication,
Yeah.
sales, persuasion, like influence. You just have that, right?
But I didn't used to. Like my mom used to have to ring up Vodafone or like the doctors
Yeah,
if I
you
had
still
to
had,
cancel.
yeah, you had like, I guess, like a sense of
It was confrontation.
yeah, confrontation. So that's
Yeah.
something that you've had to learn,
Mm.
whereas that came more naturally to me. But like,
Mm.
I had to learn the skills so much harder. I felt like it just didn't come to me naturally.
Mm.
So like, how I kind of think of it, right? In answer to the question is like, yes, everyone can get to a good level. Some people are just starting a lot further ahead. They have to do less to get to the same point. The people that are starting further behind, that doesn't come so naturally, they just have to work harder to get there.
Mm.
What that looks like end goal, I think that definitely plays into account as well, right? Because once you get to a good level, to become elite at something, like, either that can take you like 5 years, or it could take you like an entire lifetime and you may not get there.
Yeah. And I guess like we live in a world that everything is just so easily accessible. You know, like you want food, you pick up your phone, you order, it's in here in 2 seconds. And I feel like the way the world is shifting, it's the same with the skill set. You start to learn something, you want to be good at it within, you know, a
Yeah.
couple of weeks. You're not giving yourself the same time that you would give if you were learning a new language or learning how to play an instrument. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
It seems to just, people just want everything,
Yeah.
but they're not actually willing to do the work to learn the skill set properly.
Yeah.
To become really good at it.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I remember when I was kind of starting out, I think I've told you this before, right? So like, with where I was, there was maybe like, I don't know, 50 of us, and we're all like aspiring, you know, closers. We're all like, we're going to be here like making like 50, 100K a month. And like the owner, right? One of our mentors, one of my best mentors, literally like got us all in a room, and he was like, all right, guys, like, what do you all want to achieve, right? And we all kind of shared it. And he was like, okay, like, congratulations, like, it will take you 5 years, right? But he was like, it will take you 5 years what took me 15 years.
Yeah.
And that really sunk in, because we were like, fuck, like, it took him literally 15 years to get to that point. And we're kind of showing up there, and this is like my first year, and I'm just like expecting to walk in there and just, you know, achieve my entire, like, what someone's taken 15 years.
Yeah.
And it just landed like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Now that was like 2 odd years ago, right? Or however long it is now. So like, I'm getting closer and closer to that. So it rings true, right? Like by the 5th year, then, you know, that will probably be possible for you. But yeah, I think just like that really hit home.
It's so true. And
Yeah.
and it also just highlights the fact that no one really shows the grind. Like you weren't posting yourself like sweating it out in a garage, like in your boot camp, trying to learn how to sell.
Yeah.
You're showing the fruits of your labor.
Yeah. I worked for free for literally like 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's definitely something we probably should speak on, right? Is because like, there's so much opportunity. There is so much like wealth. And
yeah, but you
everything.
got to earn it.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
It's not just a handout. Like, and you know, I was a tradie. So like, I did the whole like apprenticeship where you kind of like, you just kind of get shat on, but like, you know, you serve your time and then you can kind of move into it. So like that, I think people do need to understand still rings true, right? You can't just walk into a position where you're getting paid 20K plus. Like, you have to earn your stripes, and there's a certain skill set that you need to learn, but also like a level of like internal like discipline that needs to be acquired.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I, again, am showing my highlight reel, how to earn 25K a month, working 20 hours a week. And that's true.
Yeah.
But I didn't walk into that.
Yeah.
I didn't just, you know, one day wake up and decide that was going to happen. There's been such a massive journey for me, you know, and I'm still on that journey. Like, I got my cancellation of my teacher's registration email the other day, and I felt more scared than what I thought I would.
Mm.
My career is an entrepreneur now. Like I am running a business. I am a remote closer. I'm never turning my back on that.
Yeah.
But yet when I seen that, it just instantly put me straight back into that place of fear where it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
what if
It
I
was your
need
rope.
that?
Yeah.
What if I need to rely on that? What if,
Mm.
that's just no way to.
Yeah.
And I genuinely, like, I've got some women in my community who have purposely put themselves in sink or swim scenarios.
Yeah.
And so the only option for them is to swim.
Yeah. 100%.
And they're swimming.
Yeah.
But if you put yourself into a situation where you still got all these ropes and it's kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just dabbling, I'm just having a look.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see if it's for me. Well, it's not going to be for you because you've
Yeah.
got so many ropes pulling you back.
That's actually so good that you brought that up, because I remember like one of the biggest turning points in my career, right? And I'm sure you remember this, is like when we were looking at like getting she cells and everything kind of up and running. Like you like we were both just working like full time, right? It was taking up a lot of capacity, and you just like nothing was really moving. And I remember that conversation where I was like, like I want to be able to like pick up the load so that you can just essentially like step away and focus on that entirely. And I remember I booked in a call with one of my mentors, and it was like I was just expecting to kind of walk in there and get all the treats to just make the amount of money that we needed to cover both. But it was the most humbling conversation. He was like, "Look, like you are not entitled to anything." He was like, essentially, the thing is that is holding you back, and the reason why you haven't been able to do this is because you see Brooke as like the rope, like the Batman thing, right? Like he has to make the jump, but he can't make the jump because he has the rope as a safety net. So he allows himself the ability to fail and fall because it won't kill him. The second he makes the jump, he cuts the rope. So I remember literally saying to you, I was like, look, stop, like completely block your calendar off, like take the entire month off. Like I will step up. I cut the rope, so to speak. Like if I didn't perform, if I didn't show up and do the work, like we weren't going to get paid that month, right? And then I ended up having the biggest month that I'd ever have. So like it's so true. Like if you allow yourself to fail, you will.
Absolutely. And let's off the back of this, let's talk about a controversial topic, because this did actually really play its part in our relationship. There was a period of time where I was earning significantly more than you. And I know you're not going to mind me talking about this because it's what happened. I got into sales first. We actually saw the potential and the opportunity, but that alone caused a real big rift in our relationship. And I want to talk to people about it because I got lots of women coming in. So, they will eventually have to have these same conversations with their husbands because they will overtake them. You have opportunity to earn 20, 25, 30K a month. So let's first see how you felt in that moment when I think it was the first time I got 10K.
Yeah, I think so. Well, your income curve was so
drastic.
Fast. It was so drastic.
Yeah.
I remember I'll never forget that one moment though, right? Like it was when you first kind of went into it, into sales. And I remember you'd done a few calls and I don't think you'd made any sales. And I was like, this is bullshit. Like, you were doing calls late at night. I was like, this is taking time away from our time. I remember you went into the garage. Well, I was working out of a garage at that point. You went into the office, which was literally a garage in the dark. There wasn't even barely a light in there. And you went in there and you were literally in there for 30 minutes. And I was just sitting, it was like 7 o'clock at night or something, right? And I'm sitting out in the lounge room, just like watching some bullshit show. And you come in and you're like, I just made $550. I was like, what? I was like, you were literally in there for like 30 minutes. I was like, what happened? You're like, oh, I just like literally had a 30-minute conversation and like sold it. And you were getting, pretty good commission, you still are. And I remember just in that moment, I was like, what? Like I was super proud of you and I was excited, but a little part of me was irked. And I was irked because I was like, I literally will work 12 hours shoveling shit. Because at the time I think I was laying bricks at that time, right? I was helping your old man. And I get like $400. And I remember being like, that took you 30 minutes. And that was the moment where I was like, I'm doing the wrong thing here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to speak on that though, like it is. It definitely was. Um,
And because there was a period of time that you're working for an influencer and you're making $50 a sale. You don't get
well,
me
that's what
wrong.
got me into it,
Yeah,
right?
you were doing the work,
Yeah.
but the work wasn't showing yet because, like we
Yeah.
said, people have different entry points. So for me, I'd been in multi-level marketing. I'd done
Yeah.
lots of sales stuff. So I just kind of came in and just, even when we're in the gyms, like I would be able to sell piffs, like,
Yeah.
really, really, really easily. But so your entry point was a little slower than mine.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember it. We were in the car and we were talking about the role of a, father and a role of a mother. And you were like, when Oakland was born, our son, you were like, I step into the provider role where I go out and hunt, right?
Mm.
And you step into that nurturing mother who cares for the child. And that just wasn't the dynamic that we had in our relationship. It was like I went back to work when Oakland was 4 months, and that's not something that I'm proud of. I'm not sitting here being like, everyone should do that.
Yeah.
That's just the way that I'm wired.
Yeah.
And so I went back to work when he was 4 months old, and I was earning $20K a month, basically.
Yeah.
So for Scott, he didn't feel like the provider, and that was causing, we were both kind of, I guess I was way too much in my masculine because I was like being the provider in a way. But
Yeah.
so we just were kind of, we would argue a lot about that because it was just kind of,
Yeah.
it was a hard thing for you to process.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But it was one of those things. It was like a necessary. It was a necessary like evil for me, I guess, because what it did was it put things in perspective, but it also lit a fire under my ass.
Yeah.
Right. Because then I was like, oh shit, like I'm not doing like, and call it what you will, like I'm a bit old fashioned. That's how I see it. But like my role is for me, and what I pride myself on is to be able to provide the best for you and Oki, right? So like I wasn't fulfilling that role, so that was it was a kick in the ass, right? Which put me into action. So it is what it is. But yeah, definitely. I mean, your girls, like they're doing well. Like they're all going to start getting into positions now. Like there's definitely demand for it. So those are going to be interesting conversations they're going to have.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I just want everyone to know that it's normal.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm getting at is we found that we would, and I guess the thing about sales is you have an incredible skill set that allows you to communicate on a really incredible level. So we would communicate about it and we would come to, an understanding or an agreement or whatever it looked like. And we were able to use our sales skills in that way.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember being in, we're in Bali, we were on our honeymoon, and I was really torn about a decision. And we were sitting in the spa and we were overlooking the most beautiful backdrop that you could imagine. And you were literally, I was on a sales goal and it worked. I was like crying and you were just going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I was literally having to come up with answers and it was incredible. It was incredible what you could get out of me from asking me those questions.
Yeah, I just took you through the process, right?
Yeah.
That's the best thing about it. Like some people can think like sales, they go into like sales mode, but it's like you're literally just having a conversation that makes sense with someone to help like shift their perspective or get them to see things from a different angle that's going to benefit them. So yeah, we went through that conversation. That was a really good conversation.
Yeah.
Do we have? I know we put up like a little post like getting some kind of questions and stuff. What other questions do we have?
Yeah.
I know I have one.
I have. This has been a really serious podcast, so let's.
It has been. Yeah.
Let's lighten the mood a bit.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Cheers. Have a sip of your drink. You haven't drunk once. I'm already.
No, well, I've almost finished it, and it's like warm as shit because it took us like 30 minutes or an hour to set up the freaking cameras. But anyway, okay. So, what do we have any like other?
Yeah,
kind of
I got
questions?
a good one here. All right. So, hang on. Let me just scroll through my thousands of messages.
Yeah, thousands of messages or
No,
thousands
I'm joking.
of questions.
Well, it is kind of thousands of messages. I didn't get down to the right one. I literally just had it. Hang on. It's got to be here.
Are we just picking and choosing the best ones?
I just liked this one because it's lighthearted and I think it's quite. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, do you have any weird routines or quirks you guys do to keep your head in the game? Like, do you have an embarrassing pump up song or what's your thing?
Ooh. This is something that I actually think I should do because I don't. Like, I actually don't really. But like, this is something that someone has actually suggested. Like a few people that are very good. Like I would like take everything they say and do it.
Mm.
They've actually suggested that, like a certain like playlist or a song that just like snaps them into action. I actually don't do it. The other day, actually, I did put the Sonos on because I was attempting it, and I put on some like bit of Dr. Dre, a bit of 50 Cent.
Oh my god, so funny you say that, because my one is "This Is How We Do."
Really? Yeah.
So it's not always been. It's
Yeah.
just now that I've heard it again, I'm like, that song just gets me in the zone.
Yeah.
It just gets me in the zone.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that song. What was that like ASAP Ferg song that just zone next level?
Oh yeah.
If anyone
good
hasn't
one.
heard that, next level ASAP Ferg. That
I'm on a
thing,
new level. No, new level.
new
isn't it?
level. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
the one. What was I saying?
Next level.
Yeah, new level.
Yeah, because it's like I'm on a
Oh,
new level.
that thing. Like if I'm like ever walking out like the UFC, or eventually my dream will come true. That's my walkout song.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of quirks, no, I don't really.
I think like if the sale is made, I will kind of like do a weird little like shoulder pump thing and like little dance.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Definitely.
We can sit here and be like, helping people is why I do this. And like, it is. I love connecting with women and I love being a facilitator of change, but making money is
great.
pretty fucking cool.
It is. It's awesome.
It's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And also when you're on like, you know, 1,200 for the day and you make another sale and all of a sudden you're encroaching, you know, into the 2,000s, like that's exciting.
I quite literally, I remember when I first got that sale, which was worth
your
like,
inner circle sale.
Yeah, it was worth like, so in terms of commissions that I got paid out, I think like with the conversion and everything, I don't know what it worked out at. It was probably like, it was close to 3K, I'm pretty sure, that I made in like a 45-minute call. And I remember me and you like literally jumping up and down like in circles. Like...
I know. But hang on. Let's actually get one thing straight. Before you even told me, you're on the phone to your freaking mentor being like,
yeah.
You never believe it. Like, because you actually presented just that option, remember?
Yeah.
You didn't even, because usually they have a pathway. They go from this to that to this to that. So it's like the ascension.
No, this guy just needed that. He needed it. So
it
was like, and it made perfect sense. It was objectionless. It was a wicked call. It was a perfect call.
Yeah.
Like that's one of those ones of like kind of stored in the, you know, in the memory bank to listen to again. But like, yeah, it was just one of those moments where it was just so crisp. It was objectionless, like paid in full. It was like $3,000, 45 minutes. I was just like, fuck yes. Like this is why we're doing it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there's definitely a lot of like quirks and maybe some embarrassing moments at the end.
Oh yeah, we can definitely. We say some pretty dumb shit.
Yeah.
We've literally thought that we were absolutely bawling when Scott was working on the mines and I had like a teaching job.
Yeah.
We used to call ourselves ballers, and we used to go to the Crown. We would go to the Epicurean.
Yep, Epicurean. I take you there once a month.
Once a month. And we would be like, we are bawling.
Yeah.
Like,
well, like it's
you
like
got
it's the state
yes,
that you're in, right?
Correct,
so like for us, that was like, because we got to remember, right? We literally came from like negatives in our bank account.
Oh, debt agreements,
you know,
bankrupt.
borrowing like money off people that were like colleagues to pay bond for our house. Like we were not great financially.
We were not.
So then we kind of like went up to that next level where it was like, I felt like I was a millionaire.
I'm on a new level.
Yeah, quite literally.
Yeah.
I got one.
Hang on, I got another one still.
Okay.
I'm the boss.
Yeah, right. Good interjection there. I like it.
Well, just because it's from the same person.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay, when you've had a really, really double reallys.
Ooh,
really.
Not just single really.
No, doubles.
This could be trouble.
Really.
Are they in capitals?
No. Yeah. Bad day. That continues on to the next day. What do you do to snap out of it? Or what is your reset and what do you do and how quickly do you find you can reset from it?
There's a lot of resets there. Eh?
That's a loaded question.
Loaded question. So how do I bounce back from a bad thing?
No, not a bad thing. From a really bad.
Okay, it's like really, really bad.
Bad day.
Okay, look, I'm pretty like laid back kind of guy. I don't really think that I've ever had something really, really bad happen. Like, you know, if it was really my really, really bad would probably be a bit different from other people's. But like, yeah, I mean, if I've had a bad day, how do I bounce back? You know, once again, I'm pretty fortunate. Hang on, so let me just change this. I'm pretty fortunate with, I guess how well I take things, right? Let me see what's going on here. I think that just screwed it up a little bit.
No,
there we go. I'm back. So yeah, I think the biggest thing that I do is I always remember the worst part of what I could be doing at the time. So this is sales specific, right? Like if there's anything more personal, then that's different. But like if I'm having a bad day at sales, right? I've had like 4 no sales back to back. I'm like, oh fuck, I suck at sales. I can't do it. I'll literally remember like, man, 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, I was working underground in 38 degrees in a 1,000,000% humidity and pitch darkness
Mm,
at 1 o'clock in the morning.
mm.
And it makes me go, fuck, no matter what's happening right now, it's not as bad as that. And that immediately snaps me back.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Well, I'm not going to lie to anybody. I don't have anything. I literally just drown in self pity.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie. I literally just do. I mean, I try all the things. I like remove myself. I shake out like my body and get all that bad energy. And like usually, as soon as Oakland gives me a cuddle, like it's just gone.
Yeah.
But to be completely honest, for me, it's a good night's sleep. I go
Yeah.
to sleep. I'll journal. I might put everything down out of my head, or I'll talk to you. I'll vent about it, and then as soon as I've spoken about it and I go to sleep, it's the next day that I feel okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like I genuinely just want people to understand that remote closing is a massive roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know, when someone cancels, for instance, like that's a huge cut to your pay. And it still hurts. It's still it's still like literally the other day I had 3 cancellations back to back, all massive sales, and like they shouldn't have.
That one hurt you.
That really hurt me because I was like, that's like $2,000.
It was like
close to
towards the end of the month
$2,000.
as
It was
well.
I was like really trying to finish out the month strong, and
Yeah.
then to be hit with 3 cancellations. And it's true what they say: when it rains, it fucking pours.
Yeah.
So like that day, it just had poured for me. Like just everything that could go wrong went wrong. Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
I don't know who's cut out here.
Yeah, I know something's going on with the visual. That's all right. I think it will be good. The main thing is we got the audio.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of tied into one of my questions. Shout out to Pete, which Pete's question was like, how do you kind of manage like your mindset and things like going into sales? So I think that like we kind of went on the mindset of the back of things. How do you feel like you maintain your mindset? And this is controversial topic in the industry. Is mindset isn't real. I definitely believe it is.
It so is. I like literally I would fight someone on this.
Yeah. So like, you know, some people don't have to worry about it and that's wicked, but you know, the other people do have it as a reality. So,
okay, let's actually give a literal example of this, right? You know the red car theory. So someone said to you, how many red cars do you see today? You'd be like, none.
Yep.
And then if they were like, well, okay, I'm going to give you $50 for every red car you see, you're going to start to see all the red cars.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So in the morning, if you're woken up in a shitty mood, let's just say I woke up, Oakland didn't have a really good night. He's like, wakes up like kind of punching and kicking me, you know, when he gets in those moods. It's like, I'm already in a shitty mood. Yep. And then I'm like, oh my God, my day's so like crazy. And I'm going to have to, you know, I'm tired and I just want to sleep and I'm going to have to show up for all these people. I start looking for shit in my day. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, this lady, she can't afford anything. Why is she in my calendar? So how do you think I'm going to show up in that call?
Yeah.
I'm not coming from a place of service.
Yep.
I'm coming from a place of like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And that's not, no matter how much I followed my process, which I always do, my mindset wasn't right. And your prospect can feel that.
Definitely.
You know, and then you're in the chats being like, why was this lead booked with me? Get her cancelled. Like, you know, that's garbage. I don't like to associate myself in that kind of, because if someone needs help, they need help.
Yeah. So how do you control it?
Yeah.
To answer Pete's question.
How do I control it?
I'll speak on this one first, just while you're thinking.
Okay.
So this is something that I literally am learning through like working with, I'll say his name, right? Like Ben Elliott. Shout out to Ben Elliott if he's listening. Anyway, he's like awesome mindset coach. So essentially what he's kind of teaching us, right, is like you create, and I know you did this with your women as well, right? You create your like high performance avatar down to like the finest detail of like what they do, like what they believe, how they sit, like their posture, like everything. You manifest exactly what they look like. So I've written that down like so specifically with so many like tangible things to follow. So I read that every single morning now, right? And as I'm reading it, like it just shifts me into that state. Because I'll wake up at like, 5 o'clock in the morning and I look at my calendar and I'm like, ooh, I've got to leave here unconfirmed. I'm like, oh, it'd be so easy to just lay in bed. You know what I mean? But then I read that thing and it's like one of my key things is like, I have a standard. Like my standard dictates everything.
Absolutely.
So it's like, fuck, I don't care. Like there's a person that's booked in my calendar. My standard is I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the best. So like that just snaps me into it. So in response to that, and I know Pete's actually going through in the course as well. So I think that's anyway, that's my
I'm going to
response.
give you a time objection to that.
Ooh.
I'm going to be one of my prospects. I'm
Yeah.
just so busy.
Yeah. Do you want me to handle that for you?
No. Because like I'm literally just explaining something. So I would love to have
Yeah.
a morning routine that I did every day.
Yep.
I'd love to get up when I want and do some breath work and go into the bathroom and have a cold shower and then get some sun on my face. Like I know all that shit. I'd love to do that.
Mhm.
But I got a little boy in the bed next to me and some mornings he's awake at 5:30 and other mornings he's awake at 6.
Mhm.
So I find my morning routine and schedule is dependent on him. And you know what? Regardless of whether I don't get to do my cold shower and my breath work, I get to spend quality time with him, and that's beautiful. And I generally, no matter what, if I get to do it or I don't get to do it, I wake up in a really good mood. I try to every single morning. Like the first thing I'll do is smile. I'll just smile. And that is just so powerful in itself because I'm like, today's going to be a good day. And I just start in my mind, I just visualize how I want the day to go. And that's what I do every morning, regardless, just in my bed, aside after checking Slack, which I know is terrible.
I was gonna say, I think first.
No, but the very
could
first thing I
definitely be
do.
different than that.
No, but the very first thing I do is just like lie there and I'm kind of like, I just smile. I force myself to. Sometimes I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But we went to see a healer in Bali.
Our shaman. Do I call him our shaman? Is that?
Well, everyone's going to be like, Bali changes you and you become these like weird blah blahs, which is not.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to put a label on it, but
well, look, it's not completely entirely false. So
no, but we're still very much like working hard. We haven't just become these like carefree, like shower in rainforests type of people.
Yeah, I still wear shoes.
But we're open to manifestation and like moons and shit.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? I think if things can if you can see change with things and because here's the thing, the reality is what you make of it, right? So
Correct.
if I deeply believe enough that something is going to change me and make me better, and it does, who's to dictate whether that's true or not?
No one can.
Exactly.
So even if it is placebo, it doesn't matter.
Placebo is a thing.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. And that's why I actually, the only intelligent, I'm going to say that, the only intelligent post that I've read from this whole argument about it's just mindset, it's just process, is that it's whatever it is for you. Yeah. It's whatever is going to shift the needle or move the needle in a direction that you want it to move. And for some people that is mindset, and for some people that is process, and for some people it's a bit of both. But it's not just black and white. We got to stop speaking in absolutisms.
You know why people do that?
No.
Because it's polarizing. It gets attention, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If you go far to the left, you go far to the right, it gets you the most attention. So that's
let's just fucking be real.
Yeah, I know.
It's actually, I get really triggered by that shit.
Yeah, I definitely stay out of that. And that's something as I kind of start to put myself out there more, and you're starting to see this because you've obviously been, a bit more active than I have more recently. But it's just something that you open yourself up to. I'm definitely a fan of I think Joe Rogan said it perfectly, which is the post and ghost. You just put something out there and just completely eliminate it from it. So any response or any hate or disagreements that someone can throw your way, it's I'm not even seeing that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know how someone can be just so down one, very narrow-minded. It's just this. Yeah. It's just that. Well, we know it's not. Your intuition literally whispers to you and is like, hey, remember that time that you had a shitty day and then you didn't sell anyone? But they still say that that's not a thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it literally 100%. Is. So it's a triggering thing for me when I see, and I'm just so glad that I'm not in that niche with everybody. I'm kind of in the niche before they get to that niche.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stay in my lane. I'm just gonna stay in my lane.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. Because it's really interesting, right? Because I spoke to one of my mentors, right? Because I was like, essentially what we're doing by bringing people into the industry, right? Like how does this kind of all play into the? And he showed me this like really good graph of like I can't remember what it's called. It's got like a term. It's like an actual economic term, right? But essentially you have like an axis and a y-axis, and you have like a line that goes on it. And essentially like people are kind of competing on that line, right? Like supply and demand. But what we're doing, which is like bringing people into the industry, like normies, whatever you want to call it.
Oh
Um,
no.
that's right. I think the audio is still good. That raises the value of the line that runs across both. So we're kind of sitting there benefiting everyone. So now we can actually just sit on the outskirts. We can sit on the sidelines and be like, hey, like we're just helping everyone out.
Yeah, I like that. There you
Yeah.
go. We're gonna end with that.
Yeah,
We're
I
just
think that's a good
here.
place
We're
to end
just
it.
here to help everyone
We're
out.
just here to help everyone out. Yeah.
We're just some really good fucking people.
Yeah, we're just what can we say?
I have a potty mouth, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. I set it to explicit when I
Oh,
so we
good.
can swear on this. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it might like probably skew our like ratings or whatever.
Really?
Well, like no, not our ratings, but like we're probably like lower on like the list because people that don't want to listen to swearing, which like we're Australian, so like of course we can do it. Anyway, that's who we are. We're not going to change it. We should probably like because I didn't think we did last time. Should we like plug kind of like where people can like find it, get value from us?
Go
Should we
for
do
it.
that? Okay.
I feel like mine is easy. She sells.
Yeah, but just like talk about it.
So if you
Own it.
are a woman and you would like to dabble, actually I shouldn't say dabble. Let's rewind.
Rewind.
If you are a woman and you want to choose life on your own terms, so you want more location, more time, more financial freedom, then check out shesells.online, where you will be able to come into my container and have 14 days free, see how amazing some of the women are in there and some of the incredible stuff that we're doing, and give it a go.
And I'm in that community, and it is
Popping
wicked.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So I just like to be a part of it.
Yeah. Scott will become your biggest cheerleader.
100%. Yeah, I like to boost everyone's like gamification, like their ratings, so they all level up. So
yeah, check me out.
Yeah.
Or don't. Whatever.
Yeah. Doesn't matter either way, really. For us, it's for them. And for me, I'm obviously I'm starting to do the same thing for guys. So it's called the Closed Group. It's still very much in its infancy. I got a couple of guys in there that are test subjects to be able to design and build out a process to be able to make it as streamlined as possible, which is something that I definitely didn't have. I don't think really a lot of people have, to be able to get like good and quick and into the industry to have more financial freedom
without judgment,
time without judgment, and not setting them up for failure where they go in and they realize it's not what they want and they don't make money and they want to quit. So
cheers to
that. To growing the industry and helping everyone. Hey,
absolutely. To being good fucking humans.
Yeah. Wicked. All right, do we end it there?
No, we gotta say how much money we made today.
How much money we made today? Okay, so
I beat you last week, but let's see if today's different.
Yeah, you start, because then I can just go, oh, that's good, because a lot of people like that apparently.
Of course I did. Well, yeah, I've got a big one for you today, Scott.
Yep.
So today I made $0.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have 3 sales, kind of weird sales though. So like they're not like 100% cash collected. So in terms of like what I made, I want to say maybe like $300.
Ooh.
Yeah, week. But once it's all cash collected, it'll be like probably up near 2K, I think, or 1,800. Sorry.
Lol, us going to $300. Like that's what I would make as a relief teacher, working all day, busting my ass.
Yeah, definitely. So perfect. All right, let's wrap it up, eh?
All right, fam bam. See you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.